Hello and welcome to the Temple of Enlightenment International Spiritual Center. My name is Issachar Bey, and I want to thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time listening in, please let us know in the comments what city, what state, or what country you're listening in from. I want to thank everybody who has been consistent in their support and has helped us to build this community and continue to show up every week. We here, same place, same time every week. And I want to thank all of you. I also want to thank any of you, or the ones who went and purchased my new book. I do have a new book out. It's called The 365-Day Astrological Compass. If you don't know anything about astrology, if you are new to astrology, or if you do know a couple of things, I think that this book is good for you. It'll help you out. It'll give you some insight. It'll give you some. Uh, it will definitely stretch you. It will give you the curiosity you need to find out more, to lead you down that pathway of finding out more of yourself and who you are. Quite a few of you did schedule consultations. Once again, if you want to schedule a consultation or get a copy of the book, the links are in the bottom of the description. You can go ahead and do that. We are in some interesting times right now. We have more planets in the sign of Aries right now than we probably have had in decades. This is a real pivotal time. Also on the 26th, and I know many of you don't probably know what this means, but on the 26th of April, the planet Uranus will be entering into Gemini. So people who are Geminis, people who have their moon in Gemini, who have their midheaven and any specific planets in Gemini, this will be some major changes for you in the coming years. So Uranus going into Gemini signifies Gemini rules communication. It rules communication. It rules travel. It rules so many different facets. And when Uranus going in there, Uranus is basically going to tear down what has been set up concerning communication. You know, for instance, a lot of people have been stating that we don't have free will. We can't say what we want to say. We can't, the communication lines have been, set up a certain way, and we don't have free will. We don't have, and when Uranus goes into Gemini, those barricades, those barriers will be taken down. We could see riots. We could see a lot of different things happening. So we're in a pivotal time, ladies and gentlemen. That's why everybody needs an astrologer in their life, a personal astrologer who can guide them, who can lead them. That's why I always say whoever has your ear will determine your year. And so you need to make sure of that. Let us go ahead and get into a quiet place, a place of where there's no discord, there's no disruption, where we can go in and begin to lock into inner self and source. I'll say this. There's no greater time than the present, ladies and gentlemen. We have to be in a position of moving and planning and being very strategic in these times, ladies and gentlemen. This is not the time to just go to and fro. This is not the time to just wake up and say, you know what, today I'm going to do this, today I'm going to do that, or, whatever happens, happens. If it's meant to be, this is not the time, ladies and gentlemen. This is the time to move strategically, to move with purpose, to move with destiny. And so this is one of those times where you need to make sure that you know what season of life you're in, that you know where you are in life, that you know what does the heavens declare for you. And um, this is the time to have a level of awareness, to have as much information about what's going on as you can. And I think it's imperative that we do that. So I just want to reiterate that, because it's very important in this day and time to know where you are in life and what season of life you're in, and what's going on in your life, how you should move, how you should navigate, and so forth. Um, and so it's extremely important. Let's see here. I want you to go ahead and get in a quiet position. Go ahead and take a deep breath. Inhale and exhale. Go ahead and inhale and exhale. Again, inhale and exhale. There is one presence, one intelligence, one infinite mind expressing itself at all things. This intelligence is not distant, it is intimate. It breathes as me, thinks as me, moves as me. Right now, I dissolve confusion at its root. I release every false conclusion I have accepted about my life. I am not lost. I am unaligned. And alignment is now restored. I declare that nothing in my life is wasted. Every step has been data. Every delay has been direction. Every experience has been preparation. I now attune myself to divine timing, to precise action, to clear seeing. I am no longer reacting to life. I am consciously participating in it. I see clearly, I move wisely, I act decisively. The path reveals itself as I align with it. And so it is, and so it is. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Ask that everybody, if you can, go ahead and hit the like button. We appreciate it. It helps us raise the algorithm so that we can be seen and continue to build our platform. I want to talk today from the subject, I'm doing everything right. So why is nothing working? Has anybody ever felt that way? You're doing everything you're supposed to do. You're doing everything that you think you're supposed to do. You're doing everything right, but nothing is happening. Nothing is moving. Nothing in life is moving, and I feel like I'm stuck. I feel like you know I you know this is a dangerous comfort in believing you're doing everything right, because when you say that you're doing everything right, what does that mean? I would ask you, if you said, listen, I'm doing everything right, but nothing seems to be happening. I'm going to ask you, what are you doing? First of all, what are you doing? And how do you know that it's right? Because that belief shuts down inquiry. Most people don't question their approach, they defend it. I know it's right because it's what I'm supposed to do. But who told you that's what you're supposed to do? What I'm asking is, where are you getting this information from? A lot of us have been doing the same thing we've been doing all of our lives, expecting something different. That's called insanity. So when somebody says, I've been doing the right things, but nothing is happening, how do you know you've been doing the right things? What are you predicating this upon? What is the foundation upon your right things that you're doing? And how do you know that they're right? But truth does not respond to effort, it responds to alignment. You can be disciplined, consistent, hardworking, and still be off course. Ladies and gentlemen, You could be doing the right thing, but at the wrong time. And so that's why, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to keep sounding like a broke horse, but uh, you gotta have an advisor in your vicinity, in your corner. You need somebody who can assist you because you need to know when to move, how to move. Um, because right is not determined by how much you do. When somebody says, I've been doing the right things, but nothing is happening, your right is not determined by how much you do. It is determined by how precisely you are aligned with what actually works. Let me say that again. Your right is not determined by how much you do. It is determined by how precisely you are aligned with what actually works. And so the question I have to ask you is, how do you know what works? Ladies and gentlemen, we're in a time now where you have to you got to be able to go dig deep beneath the surface. You got to be able to really lock in and really realize that some changes, some things have to be changed. But guess what? It starts in your mind. Once you're able to change your mind, there's nothing you can't change. Everything happens in mind first. Everything happens in mind. Here at the Temple of Enlightenment International Spiritual Center, we teach mind. Everything is mind. And so if everything is mind, I understand that if I'm making a statement that I've done everything right and nothing is happening, then there has to be a correction done in the mind first. Because my right is not determined by how much I do. Just because I'm doing a lot of stuff doesn't mean I'm doing the right thing. Effort has been worshipped but misunderstood. Effort is not the currency of results, ladies and gentlemen, but alignment is. Effort without awareness becomes struggle. Effort without direction becomes wandering. Effort without awareness becomes struggle. You have to have a sense of awareness, ladies and gentlemen. Why am I doing this? What is it that I'm actually really doing? Do I need to do this, or what do I need to do? If I'm using my effort, but I want to make sure that my effort is attached to awareness, because if it's not, then it becomes a struggle. You're just all over the place, and you're not doing the right thing at the right time. You're not being in the right position. So these are the things, ladies and gentlemen, that needs to be looked at. Effort without direction becomes wandering. You just don't know where you are in life. You don't know. You're moving. You're putting in effort, but you don't have any plan. You don't have any sense of direction. You just feel like because you put in the effort, you feel like you're doing the right thing, and then you're upset because nothing is happening. But you have effort without direction and no awareness. It puts you in a struggle, and now it puts you in a space of wandering. And so we got to take a look at this, because there has to be something that needs to be profound that comes out of this. I need something that really brings things into perspective. The universe does not reward motion, it responds to coherence. The universe does not reward motion, it responds to coherence. When your thoughts, actions, and timing are in agreement, results become inevitable. When your thoughts, actions, and timing are in alignment, results become inevitable. And then we look at the timing part. When we look at timing, ladies and gentlemen, timing is everything. Um, I've had people come to me and say, I've been doing this and, it doesn't seem like it's working. I'm like, well, right now Mercury's retrograde, or right now you have Saturn on your midheaven, or you have Saturn on the ascendant, or you have some very challenging transits that are happening right now. And so timing is everything. A lot of us can be doing the right things, but we're doing it at the wrong time. And so that's why you need somebody in your corner who can advise you the right times, the right places, the right things to do, and how to do them. Because everybody's different. So everybody that's listening to my sound of my voice right now, and you listening to what I'm doing, you can't really follow somebody else. So that's another thing too. You can't follow somebody else because you're not the same person. There may be a person, we talked about this the other couple of weeks ago, about everybody's thinking style, right? You may be a person that has your Mercury in Libra. And so if you have your Mercury in Libra, you're not going to be able to follow somebody who has their Mercury in Taurus. And so if you try to do that, you're going to get frustrated because you're like, this person that had the Mercury in Libra said that they did it this way and it works for them. How come it's not working for me? Number one, you're not the same person. So the way that the person in Mercury operates, Mercury in Libra operates, is going to be totally different than the way that the person with Mercury in Taurus operates. And so you can't follow that person. You need to build your own blueprint, and you need to build your own plan based on who you are. That's why you need to get a consultation. Because you need to discover who you are. You need to know who you are and understand fully what's going on. Why do I feel like I'm stuck? Why do I feel like my marriage is stagnant? Why do I feel like my life is stagnant? Why do I feel like I feel like everybody in my family is pushing away from me, and I feel like everything is falling apart? Let's take a look and see what's going on. Let's see what season you're in. Let's see what's going on in the heavens concerning you. A plan is not just a list of actions. It is the invisible structure that organizes your visible behavior. If you got a pen, write that down. That's good, all by itself. A plan is the invisible structure that organizes your visible plan. A plan, ladies and gentlemen, is a mental blueprint. Remember, everything happens in the mind. You got to be able to see it in the mind. You got to be able to experience in the mind. You got to be able to visualize it in the mind. Without a blueprint, your actions scatter. With a blueprint, your actions compound. Now, the reason why this is important, ladies and gentlemen, is because this message is really for people who are trying to do something. Because there's a lot of people that ain't doing nothing. There's a lot of people that's not even trying to do nothing. They don't care about doing nothing. They don't want to do nothing. But if you're coming to the place where you're saying, listen, I've been doing everything I know to do, what I know to do is right, and nothing is happening. But then we have those who are not doing anything at all. And sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, you have to be careful because sometimes we entertain those people who are not doing anything. You got to be very careful of who you entertain. It's been said, the ancients say that you are a resume of your friends. I don't need to ask you where you're going in life. I don't need to ask you what you're doing in life. All I got to do is look at the 5 friends that you are around, and they will tell me everything I need to know. It will tell me everything that I need to know. The question is not, am I doing something? The question is, what I'm doing is what I'm doing connected to a designed outcome? What, a lot of times, um, we see stuff on social media, we see stuff in movies, we see stuff, and you got to really sit down and think about what you're doing. You got to say, how is what I'm doing going to affect me? How's it going to affect my family? How is it going to change my family? How is it going to upgrade my family? How is it going to make my family better? How is it going to make me a better person? I need to know that. I need to know how is it going to make me better? How is it going to make me a better person? Because scattered action produces scattered results. Scattered actions produce scattered results. I don't want my life to be scattered. But all of this goes back to your mind. Because if scattered, your scattered actions are going to be based on your scattered thoughts. You don't have to rush. You're not running a race. Life is like a marathon, right? We're not running a race to see who ends up who's the fastest. And so a lot of times when we rush or we try to do things too fast or out of place, we do things scattered. And so I want to make sure that my plan, my mental blueprint, which is the invisible structure that organizes my visible behavior. Your visible behavior is always going to be connected to that invisible structure, back to that mental. That's why when we see people do certain things, they say, oh, that person is a genius, because you realize that the visible behavior that you're looking at is connected to their mental patterns, their mental integrity, their mental hardship, right? Everything that they've been going through mentally. When it comes out in the physical, we look at that person and say, oh, that person is a genius. But we got to realize that everything happens in the mind. So when a person says, I've done the right things, I'm doing everything right, I think we really have to look at that statement and really say, what do you mean you've done everything right? What is it that you're trying to do? How do you know it's right? Strategy is awareness applied to action. Strategy is the awareness applied to action. It is the ability to observe, to adjust, to refine. Most people act, but they don't evaluate. You got to be able to evaluate everything. You got to be able to look at everything and say, you know what, I need to make an adjustment. And then, ladies and gentlemen, listen, we don't know everything. We're not the be all do all. Um, we don't know everything. We're constantly evolving. We're constantly learning. That's why you need an advisor. That's why you need a coach. That's why you need somebody in your vicinity, in your corner, that may be able to see the blind spots that you can't see. You need somebody who can help you to move in that direction. Some people, they repeat behaviors without questioning their effectiveness. That's why I said, when you said I've done everything right, what does that mean? Because you can be doing a lot of things, but it's not effective. And then for you to say that I've been doing everything right, define what right means. Some people say, well, I was told that this is the way you do it. I was told that this is what you do in order to do this. And so, once again, you have to look at who told you what are you trying to do? And to be honest, you can't really follow everybody. You have to create your own blueprint because you're not the same person. You don't have the same attributes, the same gifts and talents. You're not wired the same way the person is that you're trying to follow. And so you have to look at it and say, okay, I know it can be done because this person accomplished it, but I'm going to have to accomplish it in my own way. And I think that's the most important thing, ladies and gentlemen, is being able to understand that, yes, all things are possible. But I think sometimes we get frustrated because we follow people, and some of the people that we follow, we get a little pushback or a little, you know, there's a situation there because we're doing what they did, but we're not getting the results. But you got to realize you're not the same person. You're not the same. But strategy demands consciousness. And when strategy demands consciousness, it asks what worked, what didn't work, what needs to change. These are the things that we need to put into perspective. What worked, what didn't work, what needs to change. I got to know what needs to change. All movement must point somewhere. If not, it collapses into confusion. Yeah, there was a reel going around last week. I saw it. So the guy was was talking about moving and progress, and he was jogging in place, and he said, this is movement. I'm just moving. I'm jogging in place, but I'm not going nowhere. And some people think that movement is progress, but no, it's not. You're just jogging in the same place. You're not moving. You're not going anywhere. But when he started to jog and started to move while he was jogging, he classified it as progress. And so all movement must point somewhere. It must be a sense of direction, right? If not, it collapses into confusion. An undefined destination creates undefined effort. You must declare, what does success look like for me? What am I building towards? When a person says, I've done everything right and nothing is happening, what is supposed to happen? What does whatever it is that you're trying to do, what does it look like at the end? What is it supposed to look like? What is supposed to happen? Because clarity of destination organizes your entire life. Clarity of destination organizes your entire life. And without it, you'll be drifted away. Repetition without awareness becomes a loop. So, when a person says, I've done everything that's right, a lot of times we keep doing the same thing over and over again, and we're expecting something different to happen. And ladies and gentlemen, that is insanity. Most people are not living, they are looping. Same thoughts, same actions, same results. Growth begins the moment you interpret the patterns. You got to ask yourself the questions, ladies and gentlemen. Why am I repeating this? Why am I repeating the thing that no longer serves me? You know why, ladies and gentlemen? Because evolution requires disruption. That's why you know you're evolving. When life brings into it disruption. We're looking at the greatest disruption going on right now in life with AI. AI has come in and become one of the greatest disruptors. People are losing their jobs. People are creating their own companies. They're creating things. It's become a major disruptor on so many facets. Even in the music industry, they have an app. They have an AI app called Suno, and you can write lyrics. You can sing into it, and it would create a whole song for you, and the song will sound amazing. And people are uploading these songs, and it's becoming a disruptor. But with disruption brings evolution. It helps you to grow. Nothing in life stays the same. We're not the same person that we are 25 years ago. But between now and 25 years ago, there's been some disruption. And that's why you have to realize the lens that you look through things in. Everything that happens to me that may not be positive, or I may not look at as being positive, or I may look back as a delay or a setback, I always ask the question, what is the lesson in this? What is the revelation in this? There's no mistakes in life. There's no accidents. So everything happens for a reason. There's a reason why things happen. So I want to know, what is the revelation in this? What is the lesson in this? Results are not punishment. They are revelation. The results reveal your level of awareness, your level of alignment, and your level of precision. So when I ask the question, when a person says, uh, I'm doing everything right, nothing is happening. I'm doing everything right in my life. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing with my life, and nothing is happening. And I ask you the question, well, let's take a look at the receipts. Because I want to know what is supposed to be happening, what's your end game, and what is it that you're doing that you are saying is right. And based on your receipts, it will reveal to us, give us the revelation, your level of awareness, your level of alignment, and your level of precision. If something is not producing, it is speaking. The problem is not the result, it is the interpretation of the result. We got to get revelation. Somebody saying, I'm doing everything right in my marriage, but nothing is happening. We got to look at, what's the end game? What is it that you want it to happen? What are the receipts in this? What's your level of awareness? What's your level of alignment with what's going on? Because you're trying to fix your marriage because you see somebody else fix theirs, or they told you, gave you the 10 tips or the 10 secrets on how to fix their marriage. But you got to realize you're not the same person as the person you're following. And you're frustrated now because nothing seems to be working. And you got to realize that, wait a minute, I'm not that same person as the person I'm following. So yes, she gave me the tips, but how she went to now, how she's going about to do those 10 tips or those 10 secrets, I'm gonna have to look into these tips and these secrets and apply them differently than how she did, because we're not the same. Also, we're not in the same relationships, and so she may have given you 10 tips and then tell you, well, you know what, I had to do it like this first, and then I had to try like this, and then I tried it like this, and then it worked, because that person is still trying to figure out who they are and how things work. That's why you need an advisor, ladies and gentlemen. That's why you need. I always think it's better to work smarter than harder. It's always better to work smarter than harder. Is and the problem is not the results, ladies and gentlemen. It is the interpretation of the results. Timing is the unseen variable that governs outcomes. Timing. You can plant a seed in winter and question its ability to grow. But the issue is not the seed, it is the season. Timing determines receptivity. When the moment is not aligned, even the right action meets resistance. And that's why I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, timing is everything. I had a person that I was speaking to the other day, and they called me and asked, they are getting ready to do a webinar or some kind of uh, online event, and they were looking for a good time to do the event. And they were saying, you know, I'm going to do it, at X amount of time. And I said, well, um, look at the heavens. Every day of the week is ruled by a planet. Monday is ruled by the moon. Tuesday is ruled by Mars. Wednesday is ruled by Mercury. Thursday is ruled by Jupiter. Friday is ruled by Venus. Saturday is ruled by Saturn. Sunday is ruled by the sun. But then we also look at the planetary hours. Every hour of the day is ruled by a planet. Ladies and gentlemen, this is real stuff here. This is scientific facts. Every hour of the day. And some of you will say, well, Issachar, why do you do your live service, your service here on YouTube every Sunday at 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central Time, 1:30 Pacific Time? Why do you do it? You know why? Because it's during the Jupiter hour. You guys never knew that. Timing is everything. Yes, Sunday is a Sunday. It's the day that's ruled by the sun, but every hour of the day is a planetary a planet rules that hour. So you would want to know timing. That's why you need an advisor. You know what? I want to apply for a job. Apply for a job during the Jupiter hour. Apply for a job during the Mercury hour. Apply for a job during the Venus hour. Right? So there's so many different things. I need to go work out. Go work out during the Mars hour. Hey, you know what? I need some time to myself. I want to study. I want to really get this thing down. I'm studying for my big insurance test. I'm becoming an insurance broker. Fine. Start studying during the Saturn hour. Ladies and gentlemen, everything happens and is done strategically. Timing is everything. And so that's why it's important that you have an advisor that can guide you, because a lot of you can be doing the right things, but at the wrong time. I had a teacher. I used to call her, and she would say, call me back in 25 minutes. And I called her back in 25 minutes. She said, yeah, when you called me, it was at such hour. Now it's a Jupiter hour. Let's talk. And so I'm just letting you know that timing is everything. There are no coincidences in life. Everything happens in timing. You know, astrology has a superstition. You know, um, one of the people that I used to study under was a great astrologer. His name was Noel Till. He was an opera singer. He wrote plenty of books, and he made a statement. He said, "Astrology is not something that you need to believe in, but it is something that everybody needs to know about." And I agree with him 1,000%. Astrology is not a superstition; it's a structure. It is the map of timing, cycles, and energetic conditions. Astrology reveals when the doors are open, when energy is supported, when restraint is required. Without this awareness, you operate blindly without time. With it, you synchronize with it, and when you synchronize with it, it becomes very powerful. Um, and I have to tell you, it's it's amazing at what you know and what you can do, um, and how things begin to unfold when you get into understanding the timing of things. When you get to understanding how important doing things at the right time, at the right place, on the right day, you know. And the thing about it too, ladies and gentlemen, it's all geared towards you personally. Why? Everybody's dealt a different hand in life. Nobody has the same hand. Life shuffled the cards, and everybody got dealt a different hand in life. And it doesn't matter how good or bad your hand is that you've been dealt. The only thing that's important is how you play that hand to win. That's the most important thing. Your life is not random, it is patterned. Your chart is a pattern. Your chart, your natal chart, your horoscope chart is patterned. Somebody says, well, what do you mean by that? That means when you come to see somebody like me, I take a picture of the day you were born, the place you were born, and the time you were born, and I take a snapshot of where the pictures were at that moment. And your chart will reveal to me your strengths, your challenges, your timing, your tendencies. It will show me the past, present, and the future. You don't win in life by rejecting your design. You win by mastering it. That's how you win in life, by mastering your design. We say this all the time. your outer world mirrors your inner world. If your inner world is conflicted, your outer world reflects that conflict. You cannot think in contradiction and expect coherence in results. Alignment begins within. Alignment. Ladies and gentlemen, alignment begins within. Everything is alignment. Whatever it is that you want to get out of life, make sure you're in alignment with it. I need more finances, make sure you're in alignment. I want to find a spouse, make sure you're in alignment. I want a house, I want a car, I want to live life by traveling. Alignment. In life, we often have the seesaw of force versus flow. Things that flow or things that are forced. Force, force is resistance. Flow is alignment. Force says, I must make this happen. Flow says, I move when conditions align. Force, it exhausts. Flow multiplies. You got to understand about the flow and the force. We don't want to force anything. We want it to flow. Force brings restraints and resistance. But if we let things flow, flow happens when we are in alignment. And so that person that's listening that is trying to make some changes to their marriage, you don't want to force it. You want it to flow. You know, I think that the level of awareness that people don't have is really what hinders them from understanding how powerful they are. In astrology, there's something called a synastry chart. Synastry, you can Google it and look it up. A synastry chart. And what it is when people come to me and say, hey, look, you know, this is me and my husband. We seem to be going through some issues. How could you help us out? I then take the two charts and I blend them together as one. And what those charts show me is they show me the pros and the cons of the relationship. They show me, are these two compatible? If they are, where are they compatible? How are they compatible? It would show me the tension points that may be parts of the relationship where tension may be. There's a lot of different things we look at. But I just want you to know that it also brings me to a level of awareness to where I can give these two people insight on how to flow and not force, but to flow. It could be you and your mother. It could be you and your father. It could be you and your kids. We can look at and see how you guys interact with each other. Yes, we want our relationships to flow. We don't want to force anything. We're not looking into the forcing of it. We want it to just flow. Life initiates you through cycles. Each season demands something different. Each season of your life demands something different. That's why when I meet somebody, I always ask them, how old are you? Because once you tell me your age, it's already taken me to a different level of different things that I can see within the person. Every year of your life demands something different. Discipline, patience, actions, reflections. And there's so much that comes into play with that. There's so much that comes into play with that. And so, um, misreading your season can lead to misapplied effort. Misreading your season leads to misapplied effort. And ladies and gentlemen, you got to look at that. You got to look at that, ladies and gentlemen. You got to. And a misapplied effort leads to frustration. When the person says, I've done the right things and nothing is happening." Yeah, I understand that you think that you've done the right things, but have you? Let's dissect this. Let's really look at this and see what's really going on here. Reality is a mirror with memory. It reflects what you constantly project. Reality is a mirror with memory, and it reflects what you consistently project. Every experience is feedback, not to discourage you, but to refine you. I would say to everybody, the most important thing out of this is alignment. Alignment is the meeting point of thoughts, of your actions, and of timing. When these three agree, life accelerates, not because it suddenly becomes easy, but because it becomes precise. And when you get into the place where you lock in and become aligned, you now make a different statement now. You start speaking differently. You start saying stuff like, "I am aligned with clarity, purpose, and precision. I move in harmony with the timing of my life. I release effort that is not aligned with results. I trust the intelligence guiding my decision. I act with awareness, not assumption. I refine my approach until it produces results. I am no longer repeating patterns. I am evolving beyond them. I understand the season I am in, and I move accordingly. I am in control of my direction and my outcomes. I move with strategy, confidence, and clarity. My life reflects my alignment and awareness. I position myself for the results I desire. I trust the process of refinement and growth." See, when you have somebody in your corner that's going to be able to help you, somebody in your corner that's going to be able to grow and help you out, you realize some things. You realize that, hey, I need to make some changes. I got to change how I think. I got to get my mental blueprint together because I understand the power of my blueprint. It's going to bring me to a level of awareness. It's going to bring me to a higher level of alignment. And it's going to help me to do what I need to do at the right time, at the right place to get the results that I want. So I won't be making a statement no more like I've done everything right and nothing is happening. I'll be able to look at the receipts that I can check my level of awareness. and begin to see what's really going on. So I hope everybody got something out of this. I really hope that you guys really got something out of this and really are able to look at this from a different perspective. Why? Because I understand and know that money, success, power, all of these things will start to flow in your life, will start to manifest in your life once you get into an alignment. And so I got to look at it from that perspective. And so those of you that are saying, you know what, I feel the same way. I feel like I've been doing everything the right way, and nothing in my life is happening. Nothing is happening. I'm stuck. I need a sense of direction. I feel like the world is against me. You need to go ahead and go to the bottom link and schedule a consultation with me, because I want to get you into an alignment where we can see what's going on. We can get you in the right timing, see what season you're in, what you need to do, when you need to do it, how you need to do it. And I also want to give you a sense of awareness of who you are. It's nothing greater than when a person learns who they are. Because once you learn who you are, you become unstoppable. You become powerful. You learn your superpower. Many of us don't even know who we are. We believe that we are where we grew up from, where we were born and raised, how we were raised, where we were raised. But we don't even know who we are, how we are wired, what is entailed in us, what gifts and talents, what special powers we possess. We don't even know that. And so the sense of awareness, the sense of you knowing that is extremely powerful. And so if you find that this message was great and you felt that you really enjoyed it, or you know somebody who needs to hear it, go ahead and click the share button, copy the link, and go ahead and send it to your friends, your family members, those that need to hear it. Let them know we here every week, same place, same time. Also, if you want to get a copy of my new book, it's in the description below. You can also click the link and schedule a consultation. And then also, if you want to leave a donation and you want to sow a seed into this ministry, into this organization, there are a few ways that you can give. It's in the description. I want to thank everybody who has supported us financially. It does help us out a lot. Like I said, we have a lot of things going on, building a new site. I have more books coming out based on a lot of the series we did. We have one of the books that will be coming out. It's called The Great Rewrite. It seems to be a very, very popular topic. Last week we talked about the director's chair, so we got a little bit into it last week. Go back and listen to that series on this channel, The Great Rewrite, and I know it will definitely bless your soul. It will definitely elevate you, and we're gonna come up with that book pretty soon here. And so we're just excited about everything that's happening. We're excited about how everything has been unfolding for us, and so I'm extremely pleased with everything that's been happening. I want to thank you, those that are going to sow a financial seed or donate to us. We believe that everything you give us, it will be returned to you 100-fold return. And we believe that everything that you touch, everything that your hands are set to do, everything that you try to manifest in life will be made manifest and will be successful. We stand in agreement with you and in alignment with you. And so it is. And so I want to thank all of you for everything that you guys have been doing to help us out. Thank you so much. I want you to know this one thing. Your destiny is not a matter of chance, but it's a matter of choice. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.